Okay, good afternoon. Am I audible at the back? Okay, right. So, before I start, there might be several doubts lingering in your minds regarding optional, like what is this anthropology? Why this is considered a scoring subject? Why faculty market anthropology as a very easy subject? What about sociology, political science, public administration, geography, literature? There are n number of things that are doing rounds in your minds. I don't want to teach what is anthropology today, but I just give you a glimpse of understanding why anthropology should be the right optional, right? So every subject has its pros and cons, that is advantages and disadvantages. And in the end, I'll take questions from you. Even the silliest doubt you can express, I try to answer with my wisdom, okay? Like starting with which color ink we suppose write mains answers. Even that question will also be taken up, okay? I'll answer that question, right? Now, before I define what is anthropology, I just want you to understand in everyday life of you have seen anthropology. So anthropology and human life are not inseparable. Anthropology is part of your daily life. I'll give an example. Have you ever saw Indians greeting each other? How we greet each other? Not now, some time ago. With namaste, folded hands. How many of you have the habit of touching the feet of elders? At least on your birthdays to get some pocket money, more money for festivals, etc. No, never had. Good. 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 Appreciated. So, have you ever saw an American touching the feet of somebody else? Americans don't have the habit of touching the feet of elders, while Indians have the habit of touching the feet of elders. What for? Can we call this as a lack of self-respect, dignity? No. This is called Indian culture, that is called American culture. That means between people who belongs to same species. Which species we belong to? Homo sapiens. Though we belong to same species, don't we find several differences in terms of the cultural practices? We have our own culture, they have their own culture. That means in anthropology, throughout the subject, you study culture, society in various dimensions possible. Now, I'll give an example. If you are a Jarwa tribe, if you belong to Jarwa tribe, if you go to hunting and some of the adult male in your tribe did not accompany you for hunting and you catch a big game, that means you hunted a big animal like an elephant or rhinoceros, etc. You bring that meat to the place where you are living and you don't consume it for yourself or for your family. What do? You share, right? So, when was the last time you have seen when somebody receiving salary in your neighborhood or in your family, sharing the salary to all the neighbors? When was the last time it happened? Never. That means we are different. Jarwa tribe are different. That means within India, there are cultural differences. Across the country, across the world, there are cultural differences. Now, how to understand these cultural differences? Anthropology will help you to understand that. Then, I can give you another example. There are several interesting stories in anthropology. If I am allowed to speak that or share that, it can go on and on for days together. So, anthropology has got a very interesting story for everything. Today, I'll touch base on 2-3 such interesting stories. First things first. If somebody dies in our families, how do we bury them or how do we give send off to them? Based on the religion, there are different customs. If you come from Hindu background, there is something called as Pind Pradhan, and mostly you burn the dead. Right? In some places, you bury the dead. Mostly in Hindu society, you burn the dead. That's it. It's over. And then every year on the same date, you try to do some kind of death-related rituals. Right? Then there is a tribe called Yanomami in Brazil. They live in Amazon rainforest. You know what they do? Once somebody dies in the family, they burn the dead, get the ashes, mix it in banana soup and they drink it. Sounds strange? No? Of course it is strange. When was the last time you have seen such things in Indian society? Never. Then why we are able to see those things in Yanomami tribe in Brazil? For them, when somebody dies, their soul should not leave the family. Their belief is, if you drink the dead buried ashes, the soul remains with those who had that banana soup with the ash. What do you mean by this? Don't you think that is one of the highest forms of expression of love towards the departed soul? They don't want the departed soul to leave the families. That is why they try to do such ritual. That means compare the death rituals in our society with rituals in Yanomami tribe. Aren't they different? They are different. Then, most of the times you might have seen this. We have emerged from quadrupedals and we today are called as bipedals. I think you are aware of this fact. Who is quadrupedal? Those who move on 4 limbs. Example, chimpanzee, dog, cat. How many legs they got? 4, right? Gurtuledu. Count cheyandi sir. 4, right? Then, how many legs you got? What about the other limbs? These are 4 limbs. These are hind limbs. But after bipedalism, we call these as hands, these as legs. When we were quadrupedals, we were one of the scariest species in the world. We were the scariest species in the world. That means we used to be scared of thunder, fire, roar of a lion, right? Even hyenas used to scare humans when we were bipedals from quadrupedals. Today, what we have emerged as across entire species in the world? Who is the most powerful species in the world? Humans. Why? The very animal which used to scare you like anything, today you are making that animal sit on a stool and jump in the circus. What made humans to dominate the world the way we are doing it? Ever thought about it? Why humans emerged as most dominating species in the world? The entire world depends on whose conservation activities? Who made the world the way it is today? Global warming, climate change. That means to ruin the world, it is in human hands. To rebuild the world, again it is human beings. Now suddenly, in the span of 1000 years or 2000 years, how come humans evolved as one of the strongest species in the world? Any idea about it? At least would you agree with this fact that we are very dominant species in the world? Yes or no? Yes. What made us to exhibit so much of dominance? Answer is we had the ability to live collectively. The group life we cultivated is the reason why we emerged as one of the very, very strong species in the world. What do you mean by group life? Is it possible for any wild animal to mark it like on June 25th, 2:30, you got anthropology class? How many such animals would understand this? And how tough it is to make all the animals sit at one place and one of the oldest animals speaking with them, standing in front of them. Would all the animals listen to this? No. But why we are gathered here? Because we cooperate with each other. We understand each other's language. We understand each other's needs, requirements, wants. That makes us a special species in the world. How special? To such an extent that we were able to cooperate with every other human being. Imagine, who invented technology? Developed countries. Aren't we using the technology? Yes or no? Why? What do you call this? Cooperation. If lions got some kind of meat, do you think would they share it with other animals? No. In other animals, you don't find cooperation. In human beings, you find cooperation. That is the only reason why we were the way we are today. That means this is a fundamental reason for how humans have emerged as a very, very strong species in the world. Now today, if at all somebody is scared of somebody, it is humans are scared of humans. Am I right? Something happened few days ago. I think the groom booked Udaipur Palace for marriage. What happened? Is he still alive? He was pushed off the cliff by who? By his bride. So, who are scaring humans now? Humans. Are you scared of wild animals or humans? See where we have traveled. To what extent we have developed. This kind of understanding becomes very much possible in anthropology. To sum up my discussion, anthropology is a bridge between science and society. If you understand anthropology, you understand humans. If you understand humans, once you become bureaucrat, it will make your job very easy to administer the people, right? Now, again coming back. Another interesting story in terms of anthropology, as I said. How many of you understand patriarchy? Heard about patriarchy? What is patriarchy? So, how many girls are happy that patriarchy is still existing? Not happy? Okay. Fine. I'll explain how it emerged as a practice and custom. I'll explain that. How many of you understand that men have got good driving skills while women do not? With some exceptions. Most of the accidents happen when who is driving? Women. Okay. So I don't want to take that. Right. Okay. How many shades of green you can identify? Shades of red you can identify. How many shades of red you can identify? Who has got the ability to identify different shades of color, men or women? You can never compete with women. They got that ability. You know why? Anthropology has a reason for it. Then, generally, after marriage, who moves to whose house? Bride moves to groom's house or groom moves to bride's house? Why? Again, anthropology has got a very good story for that. So, as I said, there are so many stories behind everyday practice that we get to see in our everyday life. Let me start with why men are having more authority, respect in societies. And there is a nice story behind this in anthropology. Remember this. Men are more expandable. Men are more expandable. What do you mean by this? I'll take a narrative to understand, to make you understand this. Some time ago, what is the nature of our occupation? Before agriculture, we were hunters and we were gatherers. Right? First assume that females were going for hunting, right? Males for gathering. What is the challenge in this? So, in terms of hunting, where do you hunt? Nearby your house or nearby the habitat? No. You have to go to deep forest. You have to go to deep forest. Now, imagine who goes for hunting? Little girls or adult women or old women? Definitely not little girls, right? Therefore, adult women, they should go for hunting. And adult men are going for gathering, right? Right. Now, any challenge for adult women when they go for hunting? What kind of transportation facilities they have? Nothing. You need to walk deep into the forest. Now, imagine women had a biological process that is called menstruation. What happens in menstruation? Women bleed. Hypothetically assume that 10 women went for hunting. Couple of them started bleeding. They were going through their puberty cycle, right? Periods, right? When you're bleeding, remember, would you be in a position to hunt or Are you becoming vulnerable to become prey? How do wild animals recognize human presence? How do wild animals recognize human presence? They sniff all the time. To sniff, they got something called as a snout. They sniff the blood. And a bleeding woman can be easily identified by wild animals. What is the purpose of women going into the forest? To hunt. Because of couple of women, you are being noticed by wild animals. You might be killed by wild animals, right? Or whenever you are coming back to the place where you are living along with 30 other people, wild animals get to know where you are living and it might lead to disastrous consequences. That is why adult women, they cannot go to hunting because there is some kind of biological process that prevents them. This is natural, we can't stop it, right? Then imagine out of 10 women, one woman survived the wildlife attack and she has come back to the habitat. It is a place where around 40 people are living, 15 adults male, 15 adult female. So, or 10 adult female. Out of 10, how many are alive now? Only one. With this one woman, these 15 adult men, how many children they can produce? What is the ability of a woman to produce children? Assume that she produced 10. Beyond that, she cannot. With each delivery, she is losing strength in her body, right? Therefore, what is the population of this group? Very less. Now change the roles and reverse them. 10 men went for hunting. First advantage, men don't bleed because they don't have uterus. Men don't bleed, they don't have uterus. Hypothetically assume that 10 men were attacked by wild animals. Only one man was alive. Came to the habitat. 10 adult women are available. With these 10, he can produce 100 children. Right? Is it feasible or not? This is very much possible. As a result, what happens to population of this group? You know why we are dominating the world like any other species? Because our population is very, very high. Our population is very, very high. So, higher population is a prerequisite condition for development, growth, etc. So, tell me, who is supposed to go for hunting based on this experience? Men or women? Men. And if men have got ability to produce more children, revive the population, what do you call this? You call this as men are more expandable. This is the reason why we say men are more expandable. This is the story behind it. Now, in those days, in primitive societies, which is the riskier job between hunting and gathering? Hunting is riskier. Who is doing this riskier job? Men. When somebody is doing the riskier job, don't you think they are supposed to get some reward? What is the reward available at that time? What is the reward available at that time? We don't have this Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Bharat Ratna, man of the match, player of the match. So how do you give them a reward? The reward is more respect. The reward is authority. That is why women used to submit themselves to men. And why you are submitting? Because they are taking risky thing on their shoulders. So as a result, it led to, over a period of time, men becoming more powerful. That means men have emerged as decision makers. And that authority, power, decision making, it is continued even today. Though in contemporary times, women can do everything that men can do. Therefore, the story behind why patriarchy, why men are given preference, why men have given more authority, This is the reason given by anthropology, right? Then I'll answer the other question. What is the ability of women? As I said, oh God, they're extremely talented in identifying colors or shades of colors. Anybody having the experience of buying fruits in the class, apples or something? How do you buy them? Based on the color, right? Generally, when men buy fruits, you can't pick colors very well. Who have taken gathering job in primitive society? Women or men? Women. Men were hunters. Women were gatherers. When you gather fruits, nuts, roots, leaves, etc., what is it that your eyes are searching all the time? How do you know that whether to pick this fruit or not? Based on the skin color of the fruit. That means since primitive times, women got the ability to pick color because they got more experience in that. That is why women can identify more shades even today, while men cannot do that. That means the earlier traits or characteristics learned by humans are still continued in our generation also. It will be continued in further generations also. So this is the reason why in contemporary times, women have the ability of picking up more different shades of color. Look at men. They can't identify different shades of blue. That is why more or less they buy same color of clothing all the time. Right? Now, the question is, then what is the skill of men? Men have the ability to remember the paths very well. Are you able to relate this with your daily life? Men are able to remember the paths very well. What do you mean by remembering the paths? The routes. What about women? They get lost constantly, if not for this GPS or Google Maps. Why men have the ability to remember the routes or maps or the ways or pathways easily? What is their initial job? Hunting. That means from human evolution, in the course of change, whatever characters our primitive people have learned, those characters were passed on to generations. Even today, we replicate those skill set learned by our ancestors. So this is a story regarding why men are expandable and why women have got good ability to identify skills. So like this, I can keep on explaining. Now, this is about the nature of the subject. Anthropology is all about storytelling and anthropology is all about daily lives. Now, how many of you have attended marriages? If not yours? Anybody in the class who never attended any marriage? Asal marriage teladu naku. Okay, good. Any typical rituals seen in Hindu marriage? No? Okay. Would you find this? Is it visible to you? అందరి ముందు ఇస్తారా? లోపల ఇస్తారా? మరి మీకెట్లా తెలిసిందని? అరే, హౌ డు యూ నో దిస్? అడుగుతారు ఎంత ఇస్తారని. ఓకే, ఓకే, గుడ్. సో కెన్ వి ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ మ్యారేజ్ వితౌట్ డౌరీ? నో. ఓకే, లవ్ మ్యారేజ్. అచ్చా, వాట్ ఇస్ ద క్రైటీరియా టు లవ్ సంబడి? See, good heart. Unfortunately, that is not visible. That is not visible. That is not tangible. Right. Anthropology explains why dowry came into picture. When we were primitive societies and women have got a very important role to play in family economic activities, women and men were having equal status. There is no distinction. The moment agriculture became one of the chief occupations of people, people started planning their professions, people started claiming their resources, ownership of resources based on individuals emerged in the society. That means this is my land, that is your land, that is his land, etc. Once settled life began, men started producing more than required. That means from subsistence economy, society moved towards surplus economy. When you are producing in surplus, you don't find the necessity of women working in the hot sun and taking part in economic activity. As a result, what happened? Women were confined to household. As a result, what happened? Their economic value deteriorated over a period of time. Before dowry, there used to be something called as a bride payment. That means groom or his family should pay to bride's family during marriage. It is called as Kanya Shulkam. Today, would we find this kind of practice? No. But initially, the reason being, when men and women have got equal stake in economic activities, there is no dowry. There used to be bride payment. Why bride payment? When a female is moving from her parents' house to in-laws' house, her parents are losing her economic contribution. To compensate that, groom or his family is supposed to pay bride payment. So, the moment women became unimportant in terms of economic activity, they were quite lethargic, confined to homes. They are not contributing anything economically. That is the status when men and society started feeling women as a burden. Therefore, it led to two social evils in India. One is child marriage. How long you keep your woman idle at home? Marry them early. Let the burden shift to somebody else. Second one, dowry. Why dowry? If a woman is not contributing anything to economic well-being of the family, why would somebody accept her as a family member? To make grooms convinced that her daughter or his daughter is good, some kind of economic benefits are promised during marriage. That is how dowry came into picture, right? So, you name it, anthropology has explanations for every damn thing we see in daily life, right? Now, open the syllabus sheet. Enough with the stories. Did you see 1.1, 1.2, 1.3? That is all about introducing anthropology syllabus to you. In 1.1, did you find the three keywords: meaning, scope, and development? It is all about what is anthropology, meaning. So, what is anthropology? Study of man in totality across time and space. Time and space. This is called anthropology's definition or meaning. Right? Now, in this context, in regular classes, we'll spend more than 1 hour in discussing the definition, its dimensions, application, etc. But after the definition, we study scope of anthropology, then development of anthropology, right? And 1.2, what does 1.2 says? Achha, you did not receive any syllabus in online, right? No worries, you type for anthropology optional syllabus, you get several PDFs available, just check that PDF. Okay, go on. What is mentioned in 1.2? It is all about comparison of anthropology with other disciplines like history, sociology, political science, economics, etc. Right? Then 1.3 is all about branches of anthropology. Anthropology is divided into 4 branches. First one, socio-cultural anthropology. Second one, biological or physical anthropology. Third one, linguistic anthropology. Fourth one, archaeology. Right? So, this is all about 1.3. Now, from 1.4, if you see the syllabus, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, it is all about human evolution and fossils. 1.7 is equal to basics of physical anthropology, though it is given as biological basis of life. What do you study in 1.7? Very NCRT level biology. Like what? What is a cell? What is DNA? What is cell division? What is chromosome? What is protein synthesis, etc. And remember, this is not a very deep biological content. This is a very basic biology, right? Don't get scared by this. This is NCRT level biology. We'll explain that also, don't worry. Then, if you see 1.8 in a syllabus, it is all about archaeology. In 1.8, first syllabus line, it is all about principles of archaeology, some techniques in archaeology, right? Then, did you see 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 in paper 2? Turn to paper 2 syllabus. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, right? And 1.8 in paper 1. All these chapters refers to archaeological anthropology. 1.8 is about archaeology across the world. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 in paper 2 is about Indian archaeology. By the way, what do you study in Indian archaeology? We study evolution of culture. What do you mean by evolution of culture? I think you are familiar with these words. Heard about Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic. What do you mean by these lithics? With each phase, what happened to the tools? They became better. Technology, better. Production of goods and services. That is what we study here. This is called evolution of culture. Evolution of culture, right? Then, come to paper 1. Did you find 2.1? In paper 1, 2.1 syllabus line. It is about nature of culture. Did you find 2.2? Society in paper 1. 2.3 marriage. 2.4 family. 2.5 kinship. So, all these are basics in understanding socio-cultural anthropology. Then, third unit is economic organization. Fourth unit is political organization. Fifth unit is religion. Sixth unit is theories. This is the heart and soul of anthropology. Those who understand theories very well, they can write any kind of answer in the exam. Examiner will be mightily happy if you are able to link theories with other topics in your answers. How? We will learn this in regular classes. Then, seventh unit is about language. Eighth unit is about research methods. So, this is all about socio-cultural anthropology. From 9th unit to 12th unit, whatever is there in the syllabus, it is all about physical anthropology, right? And in physical anthropology, you simply learn the concept and learn the application part and some diagrams over. Don't get scared about diagrams, and you know my diagram skills, right? Most of you are my economy students, you know me very well. And my writing also. With this writing and with these diagrammatic skills, I scored 160 in paper 1, anthropology. 160 is a damn good score. That means you don't have to draw diagrams very neatly or artistically. It is just a rough sketch where all the parts of the diagram should be visible. That's it. Right? Then, paper 2 is very interesting and analytical. Paper 2, unit 2, second unit in paper 2 syllabus. It is about races and population in India. Third unit is very, very important, very analytical. In 3.1, did you find Varnashramas? Did you find Rina, rebirth, etc., Purushartha? Then, within this, did you find caste system? Did you find impact of Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism on Indian society? And in fourth unit, development of anthropology in India and some scholarly contribution. Fifth unit is about village studies. linguistic studies, Sanskritization, Westernization, modernization. So, units 2 to 5, simply you are studying about Indian society. You are studying Indian society. Then, come to unit 6, 7, 8, 9. These 4 units represents tribal India. So, in a nutshell, this is all about anthropology syllabus. So, by and large, it will focus on this kind of division, 4 branches, and that is how syllabus is divided, right? Now, why anthropology should be considered? Let me share my story. My certificate says I am an engineer, civil engineer. Initially, it was public administration, where I started my preparation, and geography. With these 2 optionals, I got my first interview call. Then PubAd seems to be troubling me, my scores and my chance of getting into service. After 2013, dropped PubAd and kept geography because it was single optional. With geography, went to interview, second interview. At that time, my friends got into service with anthropology. So, they insisted me to look into anthropology syllabus. Then, I started reading this wonderful book, Ember and Ember. The moment I started reading it, I finished the entire book within 2 months. I loved it. The content, presentation, examples, pictures, everything. Then, I've taken my friend's notes, that too in Delhi. So, got access to university library, and then I started preparing my own on my own. Also, I got to know this gentleman very well. Srivastav, Vinay Kumar Srivastav. He worked as a Director General for Anthropological Research in India, and he passed away in COVID. I know him very well. He is one of the legendary anthropologists of his time. And from his inputs, I developed my notes. Whatever notes I discuss, give in the class or handouts, largely it was inspired from that man's inputs. Okay. So this is my experience. Now, so why anthropology? The advantages of the subject. So first things first, anthropology has got well-defined syllabus. What do you mean by well-defined syllabus? No surprises in the exam, no surprises at all, right? Second, it is combination of analytical and technical topics. Then there is something called as predictability of questions, because questions are highly repetitive in nature. Then questions asked in the exam are direct in nature, unlike your GS. Fifth advantage, less current affairs is required. You don't have to study current affairs as extensively as PSIR, right? Then, last advantage, easy to understand. Why easy to understand? Because it doesn't require prior academic background. If you want validity of my statement, check the scores of toppers in anthropology. None of them are from medical sciences or medical background. Most of them are engineers. They come from non-biology background. Still, they scored very high. Look at me, 160 paper 1. I am not a biology student. That means anthropology do not require any prior academic background. If you are BA, arts, history, anybody can opt for anthropology. So these are the advantages. Now, what do you get if you join course here? First things first, you might have heard few things from old students, etc. We take time. Physical anthropology will be taken up by my colleague and friend, Dr. Rajshekhar sir. He will be addressing you shortly. Sir requires around 30 days of classes. I require around 4.5 months or roughly 4 months. So mostly your course would be 5.5 months, okay? And why? I'll share the reason. In physical anthropology, sir will start from very fundamentals or basics in biology so that you become more comfortable. Also, in socio-cultural anthropology, to understand culture itself, the word culture will spend more than 5 to 10 hours. So this is a time required to build conceptual clarity. So those who attended my economy classes, would I teach something just like that, or I build the conceptual hold? That is how we do it even in economy also, in anthro also. Without conceptual hold, trust me, your knowledge in optional is incomplete. If I rush, trust me, sir can teach everything in 10 days. I can do this in 2 months, 2.5 months over. We will be getting our money, but you don't get anything out of it. So the more we teach, keep in mind, it is for your good only. So it takes time. For good things to happen, you need to spend good amount of time. It takes time. I cannot rush. I cannot wind up everything just like that. Gradually, I pick up the pace, and unless until I build the conceptual understanding, I don't explain the theories part. So it takes time. Then, so duration of the course, every syllabus plan will be discussed in the class. Then, material. Constantly, sir will update his material. I am updating my material. So, trust me, if you want, you can check the material from the present batch, or you can check some of the copies from taking it from Uma also. Uma sir adagandi ayana istaru. Just give them if they want to. Material is meticulously prepared. If UPSC is at this level, our material is at this level, we will try to give you more content than what is required. Because tomorrow if UPSC is throwing surprises to you, you should not find it difficult in the exam, right? Then, in terms of PYQ discussion, it is part of classroom discussion only, right? In terms of answer writing, as I said, we don't push you like Narayana Chaitanya College, but if you are interested, you want to write answers and get them evaluated, we are always available. We are always available. So, we will give you time. Time for what? Clearing doubts one-on-one, right? And evaluating your answers. So, these are the things we offer from our side. Okay? Now, any questions from your side? I'll take your questions. If not, I'll invite Rajshekhar sir. Sociology or anthropology? Common query. Common query. Where do you get more scores? You do one thing. You sit for sociology classes for 4 days or 3 days. Sit for anthro classes for 3 or 4 days. Then you decide. See every subject. Sit in geography, sit in political science, public administration, and finally you take the decision. To attend classes for 3-4 days, management will not ask you to pay fees and then attend. First 5 days or 6 days classes, they are free for everyone. Just sit, listen, and then evaluate. Any other doubts? Eventually it is me who has to clear your doubts. Better to ask me than that Anna and Akka in hostels who never clear prelims in their life. So you don't get any better input from them. All the inputs you get is those inputs that ruin your life because their life is already ruined. You check the PYQs. Why to believe my words? Check previous year questions. When was the last time a question was asked in anthropology optional purely based on current affairs? Never. 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 Check the questions. Right from 2025 mains paper to 1985 mains paper. You can check all these years. You don't find any current affairs based question purely in the examination. Anything else? Acha, I want to give you some book list. If you are interested. For paper 1, best book is to start with Ember and Ember. Second one, Makhanja or Upadhyaya and Pandey. This is for theories, anthropological thought. This is for socio-cultural anthropology. For archaeological anthropology, you can read prehistoric archaeology. Right? Then, now this is for paper 1. Let us think about, for physical anthropology, sir will guide you. For paper 2, there are only 2 books. First one, for Indian anthropology and for tribal India, books written by Nadeem Hasnain. So, for Ember and Ember, for socio-cultural it is Ember and Ember. I got this PDF in a very colorful format. If you want, I can share it with you. Whenever you buy physical copy, unfortunately it is in black and white. So it doesn't look good to read the textbook. I got soft copy which is very colorful, that is much readable than this physical copy. Then Makhanja and Upadhyaya and Pandey for anthropological theories. For archaeological anthropology, prehistoric archaeology by, I forgot to write the scholar, Bhattacharya. So these are the books that are required. Don't buy. If you are serious about joining the classes, don't buy these books. I'll let you know when to buy at what time. But if you want to prepare on your own, this is a book list you're supposed to have on your desk table, right? Chalo. So if you got any doubts and you got some kind of shyness to ask me in front of the students, I'm available in my cabin after 5:30. You can come and meet me, okay? Right. Acha, any queries from online students regarding apart from the syllabus part? Okay, so I'll invite. Do syllabus overlap with GS subjects? Obviously, there is something called as in GS paper, society part. Society part, also in social justice and in governance. Apart from this, in ethics and essay, anthropological examples, content on society, culture, marriage, etc., they give you a lot of value addition. There is some kind of overlap, but if I were in a place, what should be my criteria in picking up optional subject? Getting 300 or overlap with the GS syllabus? Trust me, if the criteria is overlapping with GS, without any hesitation, I would recommend you to take public administration, no doubt in this. Entire polity paper is covered, ethics paper is covered. So philosophical essays can be written from public administration also. So 500 marks GS is covered. So do not consider overlapping part. If somebody says overlapping is a criteria, then that is a very bad marketing technique. That is why I did not highlight on to what extent you will be benefiting in GS also. I never do that. Objective of picking optional subject should be how to score 300, that's it, rather than this overlapping part, etc. Then somebody asked about current affairs website. Generally, I follow Ministry of Tribal Affairs, that's it. And whatever current affairs are required for this exam, to little extent, we will include that in classroom lectures itself. You don't have to separately prepare them from different sources. Okay. Okay, now I invite my colleague Rajshekhar sir. He will deal with this physical anthropology part and human evolution. If you got any doubts, he will answer in those parts. And remaining topics, any queries, you can ask me after the class, right? Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me now? Right. So, as Sudhir sir introduced, I'm Dr. K. Rajshekhar. I will be dealing with the biological anthropology part. Okay. So, in anthropology, as you have learned so far, there are different dimensions. There is one dimension that you study in paper 1, which is related to the socio-cultural anthropology. Socio-cultural anthropology we have here. And in addition to this, in the paper 1, we also have what is called as biological anthropology. Biological anthropology. Okay. So, if this is 50% of the paper, socio-cultural anthropology, biological anthropology forms the remaining 50%. So, half of the paper 1 is biological anthropology, right? You might have learned from the orientation before. In paper 2, you talk about or you study about Indian anthropology, tribal anthropology, Indian anthropology, tribal anthropology, and also you partly study about archaeology. Okay. So, that is what makes anthropology, a combination of both science and social. Many times students ask us these questions. So, what kind of subject do we require? I am a science student, non-science student. Should I take this subject? It combines both elements. It has the science component in it, it has social component in it. Okay? And the part I teach comes under paper 1 and it is 50% of the paper 1, which is biological anthropology. Why is it important? In many institutions we notice that single teacher teaching both aspects of this. Why is it important? And sometimes you may wonder why 2 teachers are teaching this. Why can't one teacher teach this? Right? Because the orientation that we generally have, if I am a scholar with respect to societal aspects, my thinking is different from a scientific researcher. It requires 2 different dimensions. And if I tell you the reason why I got into anthropology, I never was planning to teach anthropology. This was 10 years ago. At the time when I got to Hyderabad, okay, I was asked by students who were here and studying anthropology and they were in the last stages of their preparation. They approached me asking, knowing my background, they approached me and asked, sir, why don't you teach this part? Because we don't have those experts in Hyderabad who can teach this idea. Because it requires a totally very different understanding. And a teacher requires much better imagination than a student. If a teacher has to provide you that has to come from this experience, not just merely reading by things. I bring that kind of angle to this teaching aspect. Okay? By training, I am a geneticist. I did my bachelor degree in genetics and then master's degree in molecular biology and PhD in biochemistry. It's all biotechnology, molecular biology, all sorts of things. And that is after starting teaching genetics at undergraduate level, in 2003. After that, almost about 12 years I've been doing research. Then I got back to teaching. This is my 10th year teaching for UPSC students. Since last about 8 years I've been teaching anthropology. This part of the anthropology. That is why there are 2 teachers here who are teaching these aspects. Because my brain thinks in a very science way. Sir brain thinks mostly in the way that the other angle is required. So you see both dimensions here. Okay. So what is biological anthropology? You might have learned what is anthropology, why anthropology is interesting. Because a couple of things students would look for at this stage. Because I am sure you are confused. I'm sure you ask these questions, why this optional, why other optional, and some of the questions I have heard about how much of overlap with GS, how difficult, how much of current affairs is needed. How much does a teacher do their work to take you to the level where you feel comfortable? Those elements we understand. As a student myself from a Telugu medium background, I understand how difficult it is for people to understand some complex ideas. I've gone through that in my own life, switching from Telugu medium to English medium at the bachelor's level, and being able to learn English first, being able to understand the subject then, and then being able to explain them not only to non-native speakers but also the native speakers. That requires a good amount of confidence in you. Okay, I bring that experience with me. Okay, today the thing I teach is gathered from my 20 years of experience after my first postgraduate program. Okay, I want to visualize things. I don't want to teach things that students can't understand, students can't relate. Students feel like this is not related to my life, this is something else related to exam. Those days are gone. These things are related to us. We are learning them at this stage because they are going to add value to you and also the work you are going to do to the society. It's very important that you feel related to that. It's very important that you understand the idea of the subject. What is this subject? Why should I take it? Because you're going to spend at least 1 year with it. At least 1 year, maybe 2 to 3 years, an average. So if you don't like this subject, if you don't see this is competitive enough, if it doesn't provide you what you require in the exam, and don't take such subject. Okay? Because we want you to succeed in this exam. I'm telling you here what we can provide you, what this subject is, what we can provide you. We'll try to clarify the doubts at the apprehensions you have. Only after that you take the right call. Because sometimes it is not about the subjects. Sometimes about what you think about it. I think I like it. I think I want to do it. I have enough reasons. When you take that educated decision, then you will put a lot of efforts into it. That is most important, guys. Don't be stuck. Don't be confused. Learn enough, know enough. Fortunately, in Life Excellence, we have faculties teaching in different subject areas. Go to them if you are confused. As Sudhir has said, don't take the advice from students who didn't figure out what they require. You can listen to them, nothing wrong. But speak to many people and see who is able to analyze it well, who is able to give you the right decision. That is important, because it's your life, it's your career. You have to choose in a manner, because I've seen even students, even some of our faculty who did UPSC exam with other optionals. Towards the end they decided this is not happening for me. Changed, and many people changed to anthropology towards the end of their preparation. Why? Because they felt it's doable within that time frame. It has a reasonable syllabus that they can finish, and it has good amount of teaching competence in the market, good amount of material available. That is why anthropology has become one of the favorite subjects. Okay, see why it is. Okay, coming to my part, biological anthropology part. What is a general question that we get from students with respect to biological anthropology part? This becomes sometimes a reason not to take anthropology. Because one question that students have, sir, there must be so much of biology here. There may be so much of biology here. I don't know enough biology, or I forgot biology long time ago. And then you started noticing, you started hearing that this is complex. Okay, I do agree to some extent with respect to the complexity part. Yes, some of these things we don't talk about every day. We don't talk about cell division every day. We don't talk about genome sequencing every day. We don't talk about racial elements every day. They are not something that you do see every day as an individual, as a common man. But when you are going to deal with people in your life, the ideas that you get from here are very much important. To become a good bureaucrat, you do require this kind of understanding about society, understanding about the technological developments. So although it is complex, what overtakes the complexity? It's a very, very interesting subject. It's a very, very interesting subject. When you start listening to it well, you feel like, wow, why didn't I study this before? It is such a subject. And it's about you. What are you learning about? It's about humans. It's about your biological systems. You're not studying about any organism that is less related to you. You are learning better, about yourself. And you tell me, because generally I talk to students before the class and after the class, and I ask them, what do you like about it? What kind of value it added? And I've seen many students saying, sir, I'm non-science student. I didn't study science after my 10th. And it feels like, whatever you studied in high school, it feels like you have studied them century ago, long time ago, meaning it probably has mostly gone. So starting from scratch is important, right? So that is where we consider, the way we teach in the class, we consider non-science students in the class. We do have doctors, we have a couple of doctors in the classroom generally. We have students from no background in science at all. We focus on them. So we teach from very basics in a manner that you understand and you follow. And my experience taught me that. I was a very pathetic teacher when I started 20 years ago. I didn't like the way I teach because I had no imagination. I was by-hearting facts, I was teaching facts. My motivation behind doing PhD was to become a better teacher because I didn't have that imagination. And I felt like, no, I need to learn this subject better. I need to learn these concepts better. I went on to study them, explore them. And after one point of time, I asked, what do I want to do? I want to teach. Okay, I came back with this clarity, with this understanding. And I believe a good teacher is someone who can teach to a level of someone who has no background in it. Richard Feynman, I'm not sure if you heard about his name. Richard Feynman, okay, he's called as father of nanotechnology. He's well known for teaching and learning techniques. He says you are a failure as a teacher if you can't teach to a student with no background in it. Okay, I strongly believe in that idea. So I've been working, and there's still great amount of scope. I've been working on teaching like that so that even non-science students can understand. So we deal with the complexity part. Leave it to me. Okay. After the end of the sessions, if you feel like, sir, it is still complex, I don't understand, I'll take the responsibility of that. Because my job is to simplify and give you the clarity that you require to answer well in the exam. This is where most of the students struggle. When I came to the market initially, there was only one book on biological anthropology written by Pinath. Even today, this is the most referred book, and you try to read that book. You'll notice that that book is highly factual. No connections, because we require connections here. If it is socio-cultural anthropology part, if they give you facts, if they give you examples, you can relate to them, you can understand them. But in biological anthropology part, you need to have an explanation. You need to have a logical flow. Giving mere facts are not enough. And that is what I felt with this Pinath book. I read the book initially. I appreciate the amount of facts that they have put into it. But reading that book will not help you understand what's happening. Okay, so I generally don't recommend students to read any of these books. I've made comprehensive materials on this, on biological anthropology part, and generally my material is not bulky. I prefer crisp materials. Okay, again, as this has said, you can take some old handouts of ours and check how they are designed. Because I want students to have something that they understand, something they can write in the exam. And this material is written based on the PYQs, based on the idea of the exam, and based on the requirements of the exam. Whether you think about examples to write in the exam, whether you think about writing case studies, those things are included in them. So we are going to deal with the complexity part by bringing it down to your level so that you can understand. Okay, and giving you the material that is good enough for you to write answers. And you don't require to read anything else. As I was talking about Ember and Ember as one of the reference, that I believe is good enough for you to understand even basic idea of the biological anthropology part. Okay, that will give you a broad picture of anthropology, including biological anthropology. Okay, along with that, if you can follow what we are talking about, that would be good enough. Okay, I was also telling you, biology is interesting. Biology is interesting. This part of the anthropology is interesting. I'll give you a couple of examples of things that we learn in the class. So you tell me and you decide based on that whether it is really interesting. Okay, so what are we going to study under biological anthropology that I was saying is interesting? Starting from very basic idea. If we look like our parents, isn't it? Right? So what is happening here so that children gain the same features like the parents? Similar features, I would say, right? Similar. You know this very well, right? Children look like their parents because we get DNA from them. DNA from them. This is our software. This is our software. So we get our software from the parents. Okay? But this is something you know very well. But why two siblings? Why two siblings? Meaning two brothers, or a brother and sister, or sisters. Do they look same? Two siblings. Think about your brother or your sister. Do you exactly look the same? There's a difference between same and similar, isn't it? You look similar, but do you look same? Why don't we look same? Because we are getting DNA from the same parents. Why children or why siblings are not same? Although we have the same software downloaded from the same source, why is it still different? Why does it still give rise to a different product? Are you feeling drowsy? Are you feeling sleepy? No? Okay, you're very silent. You're allowed to talk. Actually, it's nice if you talk. I mean, with us, not among you. Yes. Have you ever thought about this? Why two brothers and sisters born to the same parents, carrying the DNA from same source? Okay, biologically something happening in our body that gives rise to different combinations of the same DNA. Okay, that we learn in biological anthropology. And next, have you ever seen, of course, we always see this, we are very well known for this. As soon as you look at a person, imagine I walked in, you probably had some questions in your mind. Who is he? Where is he from? Is he from Telangana, Andhra, South Indian, North Indian? What kind of background, what kind of religion, what kind of caste? Our mind is filled with questions. Correct? Our mind is filled with questions. Okay? Why does that happen? Our great mind. You know what makes us special compared to other creatures, other animals? Thinking, right? Right. So we have special brain. We seem to have very special brain. Very special brain that allows us to think. Okay, today we are sitting here preparing for a competitive exam because you are able to analyze this, you are able to understand this, you are able to comprehend this. Okay, because we believe in that kind of skill set on which today we are making AI machines. You know how AI machines are made? What is the inspiration to make AI machines? This brain. We inspired them. We are worried about them, but we are the ones to inspire them. We are mimicking how brain works to create those kind of things. Okay, so we'll learn about how we got, from where we got this special brain. Okay, and the classification I was telling you, like why people look like this, why people are different. We see people around us, right? Why people are different. If you go to the, China by any chance, they look like very different species, right? If you go to America, right? If you go to UK, if you go to Australia, they also look like very different species. Okay? Why are we different? Are we really different species? We'll discuss that. But why are people different? Why do they need to be different? When we don't understand the reason behind that, because people didn't understand this reason, and we differentiate. We see the problem of racism. Although people tend to ignore that, or the severity of that has come down. But we know what happened in Nazi's time, what happened in US, right? So Africans and Americans, how they are treated. This concept came from our belief that we are different for a reason. We are different because of the traits we got from our parents. Okay, so we'll answer this question. Why there are prejudices? Why there's a concept of racism? Why we are different? Are they both linked? We experience this because in the news even recently we have been hearing, how Indians are, discriminated in different parts of the world because there are distinct differences among us. Based on that, some people think maybe they are different. They must be, discriminated. Why? Because we fail to understand from where these differences have come. Ask anthropologists, After studying anthropology, you start treating people differently because you understand about why these differences in us. Where are they coming from? How much weightage we should give them. So the way you deal with people will change. It's very interesting to know where these differences would come from. Okay? So we'll answer these kind of questions, why we have differences among siblings and why people are different, why racism has happened in the past, should it be allowed? Okay? And then next thing I would like you to think about with respect to the differences that we have among us. We also keep saying, you agree with this concept of evolution? Who are our ancestors? Who did we come from? Humans have evolved from? Any place you went in your life where you felt like, yeah, this creature is like me, it is behaving like me, it has many of the features or the gestures like me. Have you felt any time like that? As a kid, I felt when I went to zoo. Those are considered to be our ancestors. Okay? So whether you say monkeys, whether you say apes, whether you say any of those creatures in between, humans seem to have come from them. Is it convincing? Is it convincing to say, we came from monkeys? Okay? My younger son asked me this question. If we came from monkeys, monkeys are still there, no? So humans have not come from monkeys, because otherwise monkeys would have disappeared. So there's still monkeys around us and we are also there. So there must be a reason. There must be a process where it gave rise to humans. We study this. We have units where we talk about the snapshots of human evolution. How the apes were, what kind of characteristics they have. Do you know they have social life like us? They don't get married, they don't have celebrations for marriage, but they have a kind of social system like we have. And the food system that we have, we adapted from them. Do you know our majority of the features, our hands, our legs look very similar to their hands and their features. Our faces of course are different, our brain is of course different, body size is definitely different. The many things we relate with them, our evolution explains this. Today, unfortunately, even we have people who actually run countries or who are part of big political systems who don't agree with this. To see science, we don't require any bias. To see everything else, we require bias. Science is an unbiased idea. I want to see the world as it is. When you think like that, science will give you that idea. That aspect will cover in the biological anthropology. How humans have evolved, where did they come from? In sociocultural anthropology, you talk about how religion came, how caste system came, what is the influence of different ideas. Okay, so we are going to deal with an aspect that will fill that gap. Okay, other interesting things if you observe. Have you noticed where people live, in what kind of geographical areas people live around the globe? We live in a place where it's very comfortable, right? We are not near to the sea, right? It doesn't rain too much. It's not too hot. Of course, it is becoming hot because of the global warming problem. So we are living in a very comfortable area. I'm referring to Hyderabad. Okay, but if you go to places, people who are living in Japan, people who are living in Himalayan regions, Uttarakhand, places where floods are coming, places where avalanches are happening, people still live there, right? How do they live there? How do they manage to live there? What makes them suitable for that new world? We have some amount of plasticity, some amount of flexibility in our body. Because of that, what happens? We get adapted to different places. In biological anthropology, we study how people manage to live in cold countries, how people manage to survive in very hot deserts, how people manage to live in high altitude areas. A very common question in the exam. We'll see how people actually adapted to various areas, adaptations we talk about. We talk about from where diseases have come. Because in the current world, we notice different infections. We notice different kind of nutritional disorders. Some people are deficient in A, B, D, like that. You know what? Our social life has brought them to us. There's a link between, the way we travel around. There's a link between we coming up with agriculture and the diseases that we face. It's interesting to see how diseases evolved, how they got to us, and how we are trying to deal with it today. Okay, so there are many dimensions. Someone was asking this question before of the overlap. In the biological anthropology part, it overlaps with the sciences, because some of the science and technology developments we discuss. I teach science and technology classes where we talk about biotechnology. That also forms foundation to some of the areas here. How we use science to treat problems of humans, especially the health problems of humans, genetic problems of humans. Because in the diseases we talk about what kind of genetic problems we as a population go through and what are the new solutions. Because someone asked, do we need to study current affairs? How much current affairs? Current affairs will become an example in your answers, and which you are anyway studying for your science and technology classes. In health, the kind of technological developments that are taking place can be taken from those ideas. And those things will anyway teach you in science and technology classes. So you can borrow those ideas in a manner that you can relate to the exam and write it. And we do PYQ analysis in the same class. Before starting the class, generally I do this. This is the syllabus. These are the PYQs that you are getting from this topic. Okay, you relate. What is being given in the syllabus? What is being asked in the exam? And that information will be provided to you. So we will try to make you exam ready as much as possible in the class. But what is required from your side is first making a decision whether you want this subject. Okay, taking our help throughout the process, and we'll guide you to the level where you feel like, yes, I can confidently write the exam. And this year we also started rapid revision program. After the classes, we also have, just like how for GS we have rapid revision program for prelims, also for anthropology optional we started that. We have about 4.5 weeks of revision classes. This is for students who have done courses before. This is to give them more crisper idea, make them more exam ready. So we have those kind of ideas that are happening here. We teach classroom programs, and where we'll teach you extensively to a level where you feel confident. And then we have revision programs, we have test series programs. Meaning, I know that maybe this is exaggeration if you hear me saying this at this stage. But a student from my recent batch, I happened to talk to her a week ago when I finished the last batch. I asked her, what do you feel about the classes? For some reason she said, sir, I don't know why people go to places like Delhi. We have good teachers here. It sounds like exaggeration when I say it at this stage of your classes. But this I didn't expect to hear that. Okay, because they believe when they compare this with the teachers outside Hyderabad, we have very good teachers. Luckily Hyderabad has become such a place where we have good teachers for anthropology. Okay, you can get the best here. Okay, you just have to make the right decision, work on it. Okay, from our side, classes, materials, tests, help with the writing will be provided to you. Okay, right. So any specific questions you have in your mind? It doesn't have to be a right question or wrong question. You let me decide whether right or wrong. Something that is bothering you, ask that question. Yes, Amma.
So I did my bachelor's in biotechnology zoology.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just confused whether I should go with anthropology or zoology as an option.
Right, Amma. Good. When you want to go with specialized subjects like zoology, Amma, you said you have a background related to this in bachelor level, anthropology or zoology. In those cases, this is what you look for. Do you have help available for zoology? Let's say you consider Hyderabad. If not, in which areas in India that you have zoology option available? Because the level of the subject is very different from what you study in your bachelor's. I see students coming from mathematics background, engineering backgrounds, medical science background. What you are going to deal with in the exam is different from what we study. The depth is very different. So we need help. Is help available to you? Okay. Are there people who are running programs? Are there people who are running test series programs who are able to guide you? If so, yes, you can go with zoology. And also do little homework on how many people from zoology background are able to crack. That will give us a rough idea about how difficult or how easy this zoology paper. Do that work and then you will understand practically what is better option for you. It will make it easy because of the zoology background, it will make it easy to understand biological anthropology. So 25% of the anthropology will become little easy to you. That is something, the benefit here with anthropology. And anthropology is such a subject where we have a lot of help, a lot of work has happened, a lot of value addition has been done to this. That is advantage. Yes, any other questions? Sure. Thank you. Yeah, this is being answered, right? 3 new. Most of the people are choosing anthropology because it is easy to understand. I don't promise you that it is very easy. Without effort you can understand it. It has its own complexities. I just told you the biological part of the anthropology is a little difficult. Some areas are difficult. It takes time, it takes effort. Otherwise, people don't just take it, and otherwise everybody would have passed with only anthropology. So there is a complexity to it. We are talking in relative terms. Easy compared to what? Interesting compared to what? Availability compared to what? We are talking in terms of the available resources. Okay. Special program for anthropology optional like Shiksha program for GS. We don't have a separate program, but as I said, we have different courses depending on where you stand. We can guide you into this. Imagine you want to study on your own. We have mentorship program for anthropology. Or you already studied somewhere, or you already had some kind of background, but you have gaps, so we'll fill the gaps there. Let's say you're ready, you studied the paper multiple times, you want test series program, we can give you test series. Or you can come to our rapid revision programs in a month before mains, we can prepare you for the exam. So there are different levels of preparation. We have not created any specific program here, but given we work as a unit here, we can definitely guide you into the direction that is more suitable to you. Okay? Right. Okay. Current affairs websites, don't worry, by the time you will learn GS part, etc., you will figure out from where to get it. For this, you don't have to read anything special, guys. Okay, whatever we teach you in the classroom and the additions we are giving you are good enough. Okay, right. Anything else? Okay, at this stage of your life, as I told you, you have to have enough clarity. Visit the other optional, orientation programs which you might have been already listening to, because you have to have that picture of what is a subject. Can I do this? Do I feel related? And is people actually are scoring well in this paper or not? Because what will make the difference here? The choice of optional, your ability to perform well, and the rank you would get at the end of the day. Maybe you are not able to visualize that today. 15-20 marks extra after your mains will make a huge difference in your rank allocation. Okay, and that difference which optionals can provide you. Look into them. Okay, this is a criteria that you can follow. Okay, and then accordingly you choose what you want. We are here to help you, guide you in the direction that will fit into your better interest. Anything else you want to know from me? All good? Okay, you see me twice in the classes. I'll teach science and technology for about 1.5 months. Okay, so I'm going to start with H1 soon, otherwise H1, H2, H3 in coming months. You will see my classes happening. So you will learn about the sciences beforehand, and because anthropology also, I'll start biological anthropology later. So most of the students up to H2, H3 batches will hear science and technology classes, have that foundation before moving on to biological anthropology part. Okay, that's it from me. Okay, right. Wish you all the best. Choose the right option and go ahead with the confidence. When you make the decision, stick to that, work hard. All the best. Thank you.